Podcasters, thank you so much for joining me today. It's always a pleasure to be here with you. Today, we're going to talk about vitamin D overall, and we're going to dive deep into what are the benefits of vitamin D? How does it work? And before I start, let me discuss with you why I'm even talking about vitamin D, because some of you may be thinking, vitamin D, are you kidding me? Of course it's a good thing. Everybody knows that. It's common knowledge to supplement with vitamin D. I recommend vitamin D to absolutely all my patients and everyone. I think vitamin D is essential for everyone. I don't care what you come with. I don't care where you're from. I don't care the pigmentation on your skin. So let's talk about how vitamin D works. It's a hormone that your skin makes once it's exposed to sunlight radiation. Your skin uses some cholesterol. Once your skin is exposed to ultraviolet light, it then starts the process of activating vitamin D in the body. So yes, the main form and probably the most essential and best form of getting vitamin D in your body is through sunlight exposure. This is why it's important to have healthy kidneys. The kidneys have many functions. One of them is converting the inactive form of vitamin D3 to the active form. So, sunlight. Oh, just get sunlight. What's the problem? You know where I'm going with this, right? In the wintertime, you need more vitamin D than you probably need in the spring and certainly in the summer. Yeah, let's say it's summer. Let's say it's 90 degrees outside. No one is really doing a whole lot of sun exposure without sunscreen. And once you apply sunscreen lotion protects you from sunlight radiation. So about 95% of sunscreen out there is so protective that it reduces the production of vitamin D. So in order to make vitamin D from the sun, you cannot wear or use sunscreen. So you need to be with very little clothing, have most of your body exposed to the sun, and all you really need is about 15 minutes a day. So I don't have any concerns if, for example, people sunbathe for about 15 minutes a day. Particularly the fairer skin you are, the more careful you want to be with sunlight exposure, right? Because you want to protect yourself from skin cancer. The best method of getting enough vitamin D3 in a natural way without consuming anything is through sun exposure. A 20-year study showed that people that expose themselves to the sun, they have lower rates of multiple diseases and they die less frequently prematurely. You need supplementation, period, end of story. Dietary supplements, nutraceuticals of vitamin D3 are essential. If your diet is poor, if you are not exercising and not doing all the other things that are important for you to stay well, despite of a diagnosis like prostate cancer or other conditions, I'm not sure that the one pill is going to save you. What's the right dose? The amount of vitamin D3 that you want is where you can get your blood levels to about roughly 50 nanograms per milliliter. So testing for vitamin D3 is important. And the problem is that likely your practitioner is not testing you. So you want your healthcare practitioner to test you. And you want to be around 50 nanograms per milliliter, give or take. The bigger you are, the more you need. The darker your complexion, the more you need. Is it safe to take vitamin D? Are there any safety issues with taking vitamin D3? And the answer is no. Can somebody die from taking excess amount of vitamin D3? Highly unlikely. And yes, if there's a lab error or manufacturing error with the supplement, then that's the only way. But I've never seen that in my 20-year career. But these are case reports that seem to have happened. Which leads me to my next point. So the research right now is very clear. Those with deficient or insufficient levels of vitamin D3 have higher rates of COVID-19 that requires critical care, or these patients die from COVID-19. It doesn't lower the risk of you getting COVID-19, it lowers the risk of severe illness. By the way, along with zinc, selenium, and vitamin C. Other botanicals as well are helpful. So I hope this podcast helped you today. I'm so excited that you're here listening to this because I don't think you're going to get this information from too many other sources. And with that, I'll end this podcast. Thank you so much for listening. I'll see you next time. This is Dr. Geo signing off. Talk to you soon. Thanks for tuning in to this week's episode of the Dr. Geo Podcast. You can watch all episodes of this podcast and much more by subscribing to my YouTube channel on youtube.com/Geo Espinoza ND. If you love what you heard today, you can help by leaving a 5-star review of the podcast on Apple and Spotify, as each review helps us reach more men who are serious about improving their urological health and how to function better with age. And for the latest research and actionable takeaways in the world of men's health and integrative urology, sign up for my newsletter at drgeo.com. I'll see you next time. And now for a brief disclaimer. This podcast is for general information only, and we're not forming a doctor-patient relationship through this medium. The use of the information and all links associated with this podcast is at the listener's risk and is not to replace medical advice from a physician or a healthcare practitioner. Lastly, thoughts and opinions related to this podcast are my own and may not reflect the views of any institution or organization I'm associated with.